If I was a poet, if I was a writer, well, we've got one. Phil Mansell is with us, who lives here in the Orber Valley. Just self-published the book Uncle Mungo and the Great Wallaby Painting Contest. Phil, I mean, we sort of talked briefly about how you get your ideas and stuff. Is there in your mind a hidden message or any kind of message that you want to get out? I'm thinking two very good examples. C.S. Lewis was, sort of written, wasn't it, to give children a sort of idea about religion and stuff. Mm. And you even look at some of the movies. There's a hidden message in there. Is there a hidden message in any of your work, do you think?
I don't think there is a hidden message in Mungo. There's another one I'm working on now, which has not so much a hidden message as the message that we're all together, and people may appear to be different and may not be welcomed, but you shouldn't discriminate against people. Never. Which is in a children's book. It's basically about a circus that moves in next door to a little girl, and her aunt says, "You're not like us. We don't want you living here, because you're all doing all things like acrobatics in the garden and tightrope walking on the clothesline." And the message is in that is simply, we're all the same, basically. So there's a hidden message in the next one, but I don't think Mungo's got any hidden messages about wallabies or anything like that.
Well, unless, of course, you want to stop wallabies jumping about, in which case you just start painting them, which is fair dues. I mean, it is interesting, isn't it? Because you said you sort of, I don't know whether you did come here to retire, but it looks to me as though you're working harder than ever. Do you ever stop?
Sometimes it feels like I don't, but I don't want to stop because I enjoy it so much, and it's what keeps me going. Just getting words down on paper, doing drawings, the drawings in Mungo I consider to be doodles, really. They're just little cartoons with a watercolour wash on them. My real artwork is I consider to be the oil paintings, which I started to do in the last year or so.
Why only in the last year? I mean, if you have been into art pretty well all your life, by the sounds of it, is this just something you've now got a little bit more time and facilities to do? It
was something I made time to do. Right. I joined the Painting for Pleasure group in Rathole, and I thought for that Monday afternoon when they meet, I will do oil painting, because it was something I really wanted to get into, as opposed to doing line drawings, watercolour, etc. And I knew exactly what I wanted to paint. I wanted to paint a series of pictures called Working Class Heroes, right, which is about the men of my childhood, the men in cloth caps and mufflers, drinking pints of beer down the pub. I wanted to capture the character in their faces and the hard life that many of them had. Mm. These were the men who worked in the factories, and I consider them to have been real men. They were really hard drinking and hard living men whose lives were very often very, very hard indeed. And I wanted to capture them on canvas, and that's what I consider to be my art.
It's similar, isn't it, to the story writing? Again, capturing a snapshot of somewhere where you were, or somewhere that meant something to you.
Yeah. Even though obviously as a child I wasn't going into pubs and seeing these blokes, I could see them every morning when they all the thing would go off, the bullhorn would go off, and in the streets, calling people to the factories, right, and a huge army of people would march down the street, and you'd hear their feet, and they would disappear into the factories, and all would go quiet. It would be deathly quiet on the streets, and I always imagined these factories were like huge monsters swallowing up all the working men and women in the neighbourhood.
Sounds like another plot for a story.
Oh, well, it could well be. Yeah, it could well be.
Combine the artwork and the storytelling. Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll come back and chat to Phil some more in just a moment.